Hey there. I've relocated. So, I'm really tired, but I wanted to check in because it's been a few days. Been just really busy, which is great. I want to thank everyone who's booked a session with me or reading. I realize that sometimes, because I'm tapped into the soul level, like generally when I'm doing readings, that's what I'm reading, the soul level. So I'm tapped into the soul level, and it's like I can know something on a soul level, but then my human still has to experience it. So my mind, which is the interpreter of the soul level, right, which is it's sometimes interpreting feelings, knowings, my clairs, they're being interpreted by my mind. So my mind often will kind of take over with processing. I'll intellectualize things instead of feeling them, and feeling them really is the key. This particular topic was coming out through my astrology oracle, which I've relocated into this nice box, which is much easier to work with. I've even added some energy lately to this box, but I'm just going to do a general pull of the collective who chooses to watch this, okay? So if you're watching this, there'll be something helpful for you in this, but only take what resonates as true for you. It's just information to reflect on. It's meant to be helpful, so only take what's helpful. This is the time to do something. There's something that it's like precise timing is important. And when you have that urge to act, you're going to need to trust yourself. It's like you'll have like an urge or something, or an intuitive prompt, and instead of going into the doubt and letting your mind talk you in or out of something, trust what you are being urged to. Your inner urge is ready to lead you someplace that you might not easily get to if you wouldn't follow it. Look at it. It wants a victory for you. This could be in something that it has to do with your marriage, commitment, or leads to marriage. We've got 1 month's time. So that would be from the time you're watching this. I don't love using timing in the readings I do because just being aware of something can change it. So timing is the estimated amount of time that it will take you to line up with the thing. But say something else happens or you make a different choice along the way, now your trajectory looks much different. So timing, I take it pretty lightly, and instead I go, my aim is always to tune into me and who I am and what my prompts are and what my urges are. And I think that is what you're being asked to do as well, so that you can be really ready to feel this when it comes, right? Like if you're going through the motions of your daily activities and doing it because out of habit, just like it's saying slow down, be with yourself more, sit in your own energy so that you are only being given your own feedback that's very pure, right? And that you can tune into whatever this inner urge is. If we're interacting with other people, you can still be in your own energy, but sometimes what you'll be shown is a reflection of yourself off of your, or through your interaction with them. And that's very useful when you're doing shadow work, or if you're just wanting to connect with and enjoy the company of someone else. But this is a time for you to actually make movement towards a victory, and in order to do that, it's going to really take you tuning into your own self, okay? no interfering energies, right? Like, I noticed if I am aware of what somebody else is putting towards my energy, and I'm aware of my own inner knowings and prompts, then I can tell the difference. So that's why even when you watch my readings, it's really important that you do really tune into your own self to decide if it's something that's pertinent to you, right? Because what layer of your energy is bringing you here? What is the piece of energy that made you feel like you should tune into this? And is it the innermost core, pure part of you? It looks like there may have been something really restrictive in the way that you related with others, and it could have been keeping you either stuck in a cycle within your marriage or stuck from being in a committed relationship. And this is something that's being transcended now, and you're leaving room for new growth. And so this move that you'll make towards victory is going to come in the form of something new, like flora is past the seed stage. The seed's already been planted, okay? This would be more equivalent to like watering the plant, right? When we've got greenery, now you're going to give it water. So like the action that you're going to take, that you're going to trust yourself to take, is going to be, equivalent, if we were using that analogy, to watering something that is already planted. And it has to do with relating to other people, either another person or other people. Wow. This is interesting because I just talked about how sometimes our interactions can be for the purpose of seeing a reflection of ourselves through our interaction with another. And that can help us during shadow work and things like that. But what I just got off of these is that actually going forward, maybe what change is, what is new, is a way to relate that is actually not the same old way of looking under the surface within yourself based on what you see, but actually taking the time to understand another person and be receptive to them, to listen, to receive and understand what it is that they have to show you, to experience with you. This could be for the purpose of really knowing whether somebody is honest, is trustworthy, right? Because if you're not just looking for your own shadow in them, if you're actually there to take them in as a whole, then perhaps you can also assess whether or not what they're showing you is for your highest good and whether you want to continue engaging with it, right? Because if you don't let yourself be tuned into those subtle ways of observing energy in another, you may just use the act of shadow work as a way to move through it. I'm being brought to the thought about me recently realizing that I was using resilience to pop back from certain people acting in ways that weren't appropriate for, that didn't meet my standards for what I allow myself to be treated like. And, I realized that because I was willing to just do my shadow work consistently and always, then doing shadow work became the shadow in a way, right? Because it was like, okay, well, certainly I've got to put a stop to this cycle because I don't need to do this much work to just be in somebody else's experience, right? Yeah, shining a light on this and bringing the healing down to the cellular level and just not putting up with the bullshit of other people. The bullshit of other people, it doesn't have to be part of what we continually subject ourselves to. You could see one shadow in yourself through an interaction and not choose to interact with that person anymore, and another person would come along if you needed to get another layer of that same shadow. You know, like you'll notice it, right? Like, okay. Ooh, interesting. So this is kind of saying like maybe even staying in that pattern of continually not tuning in to that inner urge, so that innermost place would tell me, okay, this is already done. Yeah. Continuously clearing karma. That's looping energy is just karma. That's at Earth. Looking at the bigger picture view, Sagittarius. Sometimes it's an illusion. Okay, the illusion is put forth by someone else's energy, right? Somebody can actually, with somebody's expectations of you, or you could call it a spell, but it could just be an intention, right? Someone else's expectations of you can cast an illusion of energy, depending on who they are, how strong their energy is, you know, what their intention is, and things like that, and how susceptible you are to it. It can only come if you're susceptible to it. Sometimes the audacity of others it's like if you're open-hearted, good person, right, with intentions that are pure and for the highest good of yourself and all, you don't really expect that somebody's going to actually take their attention off their own growth and learning to try to target you and try to manipulate you and try to like be a vampire off your energy. Like, you don't expect that that's going to be somebody's full-time gig, and that they would use like so many different tactics, right? But in my life, one of the things that I've come for in this incarnation is to deal with a lot of manipulative people. And because of that, I've become quite masterful in reading that kind of energy. So they did me a favor on a soul level and let me learn that, you know? But like on a human level, it was just like, seriously? Like, how? Like, it's so easy for you to get to the level where I am. So why wouldn't you just like stop doing that so that you could grow your own self, so you wouldn't need to be a vampire? Like if someone could be that power hungry, there's a neighbor dog out there. If someone could be that power hungry, it's like they're blinded by it, right? And that's so interesting and very obvious when you tune into your own energy, and then you can see in the field what certain people are intending or expecting of you. Or, you know, I've noticed a lot of the energy suckers, they don't probably even know, because I'm sure that, you know, I related in that way too. I know that I related in those ways too. But I did it unconsciously. I didn't do it purposely. And when I cleaned up my shadow, I no longer did it. And that's why I can see it and feel it. So other people can... It's very interesting how easy people will slip into manipulation of others. Like, even just asking for help. Even just asking me to listen to their I'm going to say whining. And it's not because I'm being rude. It's because they always have the same exact complaint, and they never ever take any advice to change it. So their whole gig is to find somebody who will listen to their sad story over and over and over and over and over again, right? That's a vampire. Or somebody who asks for help but never implements anything to help themselves. That's a vampire. Somebody who tries to implement things to, like, tap into what they think your ego might want. Like, oh, you're so great. Oh, you're so special. Like, if somebody's trying to make you feel special or, like, better than others, that's a vampire. That's an energy vampire. Oh, if somebody is trying to strategize a way to relate to you so that they can get a certain result, Like say a guy wants you to say yes when they ask you out. And they're thinking about, oh, what if I say this? Or what if I do this? Or, it's like, that is a vampire. If you're trying to get me to do something, you are putting expectation on me. You're putting pressure energetically, even if you're not saying it. Even if it's just in hope. I think hope is a pretty innocent one, so I would probably let that one slide. The other ones feel heavier and denser, right? There's a scale. So you can feel the density of certain energies and how they feel. So hope wouldn't feel quite as bad as like insecurity. Like I need to devise a way to get her to say yes because I will feel awful and can't handle rejection. That is going to feel a lot different than I'm going to ask her out and I really hope she says yes. Like, you can see the difference, you can feel the difference when you say it or tap into what I'm saying, right? So there's these ways of relating that can so subtly be energy vampirism. And I have become so open to that lately. Like, so open, right? So it's very interesting for me. I'm enjoying the process. Like, it's not bringing me down or anything. I don't feel sad or depressed or burdened. In a way, I was fascinated for a while. Now I'm just like, okay, well, I'm ready to move through this. And I think this is what it's saying. It's like, yeah, well, then just be done with it. It's like, get in tune with your own energy. Know where you are. Know yourself, right? If you know your strengths and your weaknesses, then if somebody's trying to use one of your weaknesses to manipulate you, then you know it, right? So it's been very fascinating, and I think that, having this kind of experience that I've had of many different types of people trying to manipulate me from different ways, and sometimes very benign ways, and sometimes more outright ways, but because I've read energy, because I can feel subtle energy, I've taken note of these, right? And I've been collecting notes on these, all along for many years, and sometimes documenting in this way as well. So I think that now I'm ready to bridge something that will help others find their way out when they find themselves in some of these more subtle vampirism dynamics with others. And there's always going to be something in you that allows it. Like, no one can vampire off you. Like, someone can give me a sad story, and it's not going to vampire off me unless I have something in me that feels obligated to help. Right? If I've deemed my purpose in life to be a helper, and then someone comes to me with always the one who needs help, and they need help, and they need help, and they need help, then I'm calling myself a helper. Now I've just made it more difficult for me to break away. Now I've got to really make sure I tune into my own energy and keep track of how much I'm giving and make sure that I don't empty my own cup. Because you can't just shut people off at the time when your cup's empty. You have to shut them off before then. Because if you wait until your cup's empty to cut off any energy vampirism, relating dynamics, then you may be too weak to actually keep from oppressing you or manipulating. So you have to really tune in and know yourself. Know where your boundary is. Know what you agree to in your relating dynamics. And that's why I developed this fair relating reflection deck that I sell on my website. Because I knew that this was something that was really important to look at, and I knew that there was a lot of hidden things. And even the deck that I'm selling now, I've made a couple adjustments as I've realized some of my own shadows that I held when I wrote those cards. I realized, oh, well, here's a little hidden place where it's not quite balanced. And one example was when I realized that my card about holding space said basically instead of like trying to control others, we want to hold space for them. And it says like that we know that they'll understand or find their way when they're meant to. And that was great. And I felt that with all of my being when I wrote it. But since then, I've realized that, oh, well, actually, there are some people who may not ever understand, and maybe they're not meant to. There are some people that come to incarnate and actually have illness and die from that illness, and that's literally what their soul was going to do the whole time. So they may never come to some sort of understanding or clearing on that certain energy that I'm holding space for them, right? So I realized, okay, I don't know better for their soul than they do. So I need to open that up, and then I added the word if. I added that they will understand when and if they are meant to, right? So you see how in everything I'm doing and everything I'm talking about, even when I'm talking about like a guy wanting a girl to date and to not have hope, it's like non-attachment. It's like, come at me, but be okay whether we're going to match up or not. That is you and your sovereignty. That is you as a whole confident person like me. Like if I'm going to ask somebody out, I'm going to make sure I'm okay even if they say no. Because I'm not holding them hostage. And I'm not going to play a victim if they say no. Right? I'm not going to put their answer in the equation of what my worth is. It's not. And it's important that we don't do that to each other. Like we don't have to look to each other to value ourselves. I'm valuable. It doesn't change whether or not he says yes or no. Whether or not he says yes or no decides if we're going to have experience together or not. In that whatever manner it is that I'm proposing, right? And to be honest, I probably wouldn't, at this stage in my life, ask out a guy because I want to be the feminine in a relationship. And I'd like the masculine to have his ability to stand in his own sovereignty and confidence and understand that he can caretake his own self through any rejection that might come, right? Because what if... I never ever as a codependent would have thought that I would think like this. But what if I'm really busy on a project and I can't start a relationship at this moment? But it doesn't have anything to do with the worth of that person. In fact, what if I find that person really appealing and attractive, but I'm obligated to a project that I just started in my career, which is part of my life's purpose? Like, old codependent me would never have prioritized career over relationship. But at this stage in my life, it's really important that I do get financially secure and that I advance myself to the degree that I'm meant to be sovereign fully and to be somebody who can support myself. Because like, if I begin a relationship with somebody, I want to make sure that we are able to meet each other on equal ground. So I need to make sure that I've got that for myself so that I am a person that doesn't cause a burden on somebody who wants to date me or whatever, Like I used to be in a relationship with somebody who wanted to go out to eat a lot, like to restaurants and stuff as dates. And it was very nice. And when we first started dating, he would pay, and that was very nice. And then we had split up one time, and then we came back together, and I had realized the unfair dynamic that I had allowed by letting him pay all the time, and I wanted to pay too, so I would start paying my way. But then I would run out of money, and I would be having to go without things that I needed because I spent my money on the date that he wanted to go on. And I would accept, but then I would pay, but then I would be out of money. And so I had to say, hey, listen, I love that we're doing this. I know that you really enjoy us, going out in this way and spending time together in that way, but like, I can't do that because I can only do that maybe like once in the month or something, and you want to do it like 2-3 times a week, or whatever, or every time we get together, and I can't keep up. So he went back to paying, right? But like that whole relationship was ridden with ways of unfair, imbalanced relating. And so because I've been through that, I know that it would be much better if I was able to keep up, So if somebody wanted to date me, I it's very possible that if it's somebody who wants to take it at a pace that works for me, that they'll be okay with the fact that I have to focus here more. And they're not going to be insecure, and they're not going to be demanding, and they're not going to be insulted or take it personal or anything like that, right? So the right person for me won't have like some sort of like attachment to how it's going to work that involves their own worth and like taking things personal and expectations of me that are not in line with my own values and my own priorities, right? So I think that being sovereign and being in touch with who we really are is a very, very important part of relating to others in a balanced and fair way and in a loving way. And slowing down and getting to know ourselves might be very beneficial for all of us at this time, so that we can really look at the parts of ourselves that might not be in line with that might not have caught up with that, or that just don't quite know what we want or feel like yet, right? Like we can make a list of our strengths, weaknesses, and values. What's important to you? As long as you know, then you can make a decision when the time comes. It's really, really important. Okay. Let's see if one more wants to come out. I thought that neighbor dog came up to my screen, but I don't know what pressed my screen. Saturn, restrictions and responsibilities. It's kind of like the responsibility of all of us, right? To nourish ourselves, to give ourselves what we need, to be sovereign beings, and to use our free will to make the choice to free ourselves from those old patterns of relating that are not fair. We got nutrition and Palo Santo, and adornment, and new path. In order to get to that new path, you're going to want to use your free will, right? And follow those inner urges, so you have to really know yourself. And, clear your energy with some Palo Santo. Feed your body with the good nutrients. Your body needs nutrients. You need resources in order to go forward. And also, we've got adornment. And adornment is like jewelry and stuff like that. And I want to ask, like, what is the relevance of adornment? What's the relevance of adornment in this? Grace, assistance, maybe like crystals. Wearing crystals on your body can really help you. 2 to 3 months, unaware, master, and assistance. Okay. The crystals can kind of help either amplify or bring out balance, or help you balance when you're unaware that something is out of whack. Assistance. Yeah, the crystals would assist you in mastering this energy. When we share energy, we can do that with people, we can do that with objects, crystals, animals, trees. So you may need assistance to kind of bring some certain things in your path that are uncomfortable, to your awareness. And when you feel restricted in some way, that's coming to your awareness for you to caretake it and love yourself through it and be present with it. So if it's a feeling, be present with it. And if you can keep from using your mind to intellectualize and bypass, like I have learned I've done in many cases, you'll save yourself from having to backtrack, right? Okay. Alright, so I just wanted to try my new setup and see how I liked it. And I probably will make some more changes, but I'm really tired now, so I'm going to call it quits, make myself some dinner. Is it dinner time? It's 5:08 p.m. Yeah, it's time for me to kind of settle down, do my evening stuff, and I will see you very soon. Feel free to comment, questions, anything like that. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Only take what's helpful for you. I'll see you in the next one.